residency tax proposals that are kind of in the pipeline. And for those of you that do not know, U.S. citizens are and U.S. residents are one of two in the world subject to worldwide taxation. So no matter wherever you're living, it could be in Germany, it could be in Argentina, the U.S. taxes, revenues, and income that you have worldwide. So Charles, what is kind of going on with this bill that could potentially change the game there?
I'll tell you what we know, right?
Okay.
It got released late last year, and it's been kind of quiet. I say late, it was, late December last year, pretty quiet since it was released. But, it's aimed at kind of giving some relief to U.S. citizens that live abroad. They've probably been there for a while, probably going to continue to be there. Prior to this, as you mentioned, the U.S. taxes you regardless of residency on your worldwide income, which can be a problem if you're living in the UK or living in Australia or Mexico, Canada, wherever it may be, and you're paying tax in that local jurisdiction, but then you're still having to file a U.S. tax return. Yes, you might get a foreign tax credit, but you're still probably going to be hit a little, with double taxation. And so, it would effectively be an election that individuals could make to be treated as a non-resident for U.S. tax purposes only.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what that means is unless you've got U.S. source income, you wouldn't need to file the U.S. tax return. Now, you still may need to file something with the U.S. every year saying, hey, I'm still not a resident, or I'm still resident in country X. So I'm going to continue to file as a non-resident in the U.S. But there's going to be some, we know there's going to be some qualifications.
Yeah.
One is kind of similar to our expat rules. Now you've got to certify you've been in compliance for the past 5 years with the IRS, and you're all caught up on any liabilities. Another is there may still be an exit tax. So right now, again, the rules are kind of black and white. If you want to give up your citizenship, you've got to formally expatriate. And if you do that and your assets are the value of your assets is in excess of 2 million, you're going to have a deemed sale on all your worldwide assets. This bill raises that threshold to 13.6 million. So you've got a lot more individuals that this may be appealing to.
So they wouldn't have to. If their assets are essentially lower than 14 million, then there wouldn't be an exit tax.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And most people who are moving abroad, the last thing they want to do is lose their U.S. passport. So this is and so I guess it's getting the best of both worlds, so you can live abroad for some period of time. And it seems like, I think you were about to say, at a minimum 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, so you kind of hit the nail on the head. Unless you're going to be planning on living outside of the U.S. for more than 3 years, then this probably doesn't even become an option for you, because there's a requirement that you're going to have to, be a non-resident for U.S. purposes for 3 years. And if you fail that, or if you move back and become a U.S. resident, it's a retroactive election, and you have to go back and file late returns essentially. And then you're going to have a tax and interest, do penalties apply. So for the folks that are kind of thinking about exploring the idea of leaving but might come back, maybe, don't make that election, right?
Yeah.
But if, you're definitely going to, jump ship, or you're already you've been living outside the U.S. for many years and plan on.
Yeah.
So that those types of folks, I think, would definitely want to explore this.
Yeah. And even obviously this is, again, it's a bill and nothing's been passed yet. But even if, you went and you lived in Germany and you had a couple rental properties in the U.S., you would still file the U.S. tax return reporting U.S. source income for those rental properties in the U.S. But, if maybe your main source of income is a newsletter business or something that you can run virtually from anywhere, the revenues, income, profit from that newsletter business potentially would not be subject to U.S. taxation and would only be subject to taxation in the country that you're a resident of.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
that
yeah,
example, Germany.
yeah. I think it would be very similar to our rules now, where if you've got a non-resident alien, they're not a
Mhm.
citizen, not a green card holder, but they have rental properties in the U.S., they've got to file a 1040 NR, right, to report
Yeah,
the rental income. So yeah,
yeah,
that certainly any U.S. source income still gonna have to file a U.S. return. Pro,
yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be a 1040 NR, right? It
yeah,
might be 1040 with some special elections or statements. A little early to say on
yeah.
that front. But something other, one other point to note is a lot of U.S. citizens have issues getting non-U.S. bank accounts because of our FACTA reporting requirements, right?
Hmm.
The foreign bank sees a U.S. person and they want to close their doors immediately because of all of the additional reporting that goes along with having that client being a U.S. person. And so I think what this bill also says is, they'd be able to get a non-residency certificate from the U.S. and then be able to go to the bank and say, no, I'm not a resident in the US. So can I open up a bank account? And that would be extremely helpful for a lot of
Right.
folks because we see that all the time. We've got a US person that just can't open up a foreign bank account because of their US passport, essentially.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that side of it, just the operational difficulties of opening a bank account abroad
Oh,
because of the
yeah.
FACTA reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking ahead, right? So if this bill did come out and moving abroad is something that either you or your family you've always really wanted to do and you're going to do anyways, and now it's like, okay, well, now that this law is in place, um, and the world's your oyster, you have options of where to go. They'd be able to reach out to you and say, okay, well, I'm between Argentina and Monaco or the UK or wherever, and you'd be able to kind of help
Yeah,
do some
look,
planning
global.
internationally
Yeah,
about what the
yeah.
tax.
Take that global picture into
Yeah.
account. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. But again, it's going to be it probably be a lot of folks that are already living outside the U.S. right, that are still having to file a U.S. return, and they've been throwing their hands up every year, at their tax preparer, whether it be me or you, and wondering, well, when is this going to end,
Yeah.
right? They haven't want to expatriate because maybe they had 6 million worth of assets, right, and they were going
Yeah.
to have to have a large gain, uh,
Yeah.
but no cash to pay tax. So yeah, I think it opens up the door for a few people. And then, like you said, the folks that have been thinking about moving, yeah, now might be a good opportunity.
Well, cool, man. Just a little quick video. Wanted to touch base and get your thoughts on it, and then if something comes up to more
Yeah,
fruition, then we'll circle back.
that's
Thanks,
right. Yeah.
Charles.
All right. Talk to you.